It's been some time because we had to go through the funeral processes of His Excellency, the late President Mills. Fortunately, all Ghana has come together and we have seen him off, we believe, in a dignified, befitting manner. We've showcased Ghana's capacity to work together to demonstrate that we are united behind a cause when we really, really believe we ought to. And in this case, our respect, our love for the departed has clearly been demonstrated even at national level. Now, we are still, to some extent, in the same process. Traditionally, even as we see off the dearly departed at home, we also go through processes where we determine what brought about the sad process, as well as determine the financial costs of everything that happened. As we speak now, there are civil society organizations in Ghana who are asking the government to conduct a thorough inquiry into the days immediately prior to the sad happening, the consequences of the sad happening, days immediately after, or a day or two immediately after, and the day itself, that is Black Tuesday, July 24th, when we lost His Excellency, the President. Tonight, Minority Caucus is asking His Excellency John Mahama to confirm his love for his late boss by authorizing such an inquiry. Under our rules, anybody showing up at hospital within 24 hours, either arriving without life in them or dying within 24 hours of arriving in hospital, by law, is supposed to go through a coroner's inquest. That is different from an autopsy. An autopsy does the bodily investigation, but a coroner's inquest looks at all the circumstances surrounding the events and determines whether or not, leading up to the process, there was any negligence or otherwise. But for us in particular, I think our interest is in ensuring that we have institutional mechanisms that will project into the future. Be that as it may, it is an important challenge to His Excellency John Mahama because questions are being asked. Major questions are being asked. And there are rumors all over this country. In particular, for his own sake, there are rumors that people stood to benefit from an untoward happening to the late president. Is that true? And if it's not, whose duty is it to establish an inquiry once and for all and clear the air? With me, to explore some of the issues coming up, some of the inconsistencies coming up, some of the disturbing institutional failures we seem to be hearing about, is Mr. Ken Krachi, who is the editor of the Daily Searchlight, the managing editor of the Daily Searchlight, and indeed a very, very key member of the MPP communications team. Yes, Mr. Krachi.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening, yeah.
Welcome to Minority Caucus.
Thank you.
We should be welcoming each other. I haven't been here for a long time.
I see. These are sad days in this country.
Indeed,
yes.
Ken. Indeed.
Sad days in this country.
Indeed. How have we conducted ourselves as a nation, you know, from the death till now? How do you see?
Well, first and foremost, let me say a very good evening to our viewers and to say I have missed this platform since the last time I was here. I thank you for offering me this opportunity once again. And please, let more come.
Thank you. We'll do that.
Nado, the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, is pleading with all Ghanaians to ensure that peace is our lot. We make sure that we conduct ourselves in such a manner that there will be peace in this country before the election and then after the election. And I would like to add my voice to that very admirable call. But then whenever I have this opportunity, I also plead with people to be careful on our roads. Our roads are so a death trap. People are still dying on our roads. We need to be careful when we get out there on the roads. Now, I think that I have to commend Ghanaians on the way and manner we have conducted ourselves with regard to the death of our former president, President Mills. The outpouring of love has been extreme. It has been extreme and marvelous. I think that if he had been around, he would have been proud at the display, the fact that people stopped their businesses for a whole 3 days in Ghana. Another cut short a very profitable and very beautiful campaign process and decided to just cut short that process and come back to Accra to come and mourn. I was even opposed to coming to stay in Accra for the whole period of the funeral.
It's now almost 20 days.
Yes, but he thought otherwise, and I think it was a smarter move. I'm not that smart sometimes. I thought it was a smarter move. Caucus did the same thing. Other political parties did the same thing. I think that it has been, the outpouring of love has been beautiful. All across the country, everywhere plastered with black and red. It was nice. Ghanaians have shown that they care for their leadership at all material times, no matter the political and other differences that we have. So we thank Ghanaians very much. We also thank all the people who made the effort and traveled from outside of Ghana to come and join us at this very bitter time to mourn our former president.
But then, having said that, having engaged as only Ghanaians can in conducting funerals, I mean, this was a gargantuan funeral, even by Ghanaian standards.
This was truly gargantuan, yes.
But
a national funeral.
Strangely enough, it hasn't been able to suppress the questions, because as part of the Ghanaian culture, we also ask, as a matter of course, what happened. We seek to find out as part of our processes for managing our sadness and otherwise. And I think this is where we have reached now, the what happened stage. During the funeral period and all that, and well before the funeral, you had reason to raise certain key questions. And I don't think those questions have gone away. As we speak, civil society organizations are asking for a proper inquiry. And indeed, it goes back to the question whether or not we have institutional systems which will give us early warning in the event something untoward is going to happen to our presidency. In this context, it's just not about the late president, but the presidency. And since this incident, other civil society organizations are asking even whether or not aspirants ought not to be examined. But we don't have any legal provisions for that. But once you are in the office and you become the state's responsibility, shouldn't there be mechanisms for making those assessments objective, where we all know that this is the team who manages the president, and that at a certain degree, the country will be triggered and certain actions will follow, and nobody will read meaning, excessive partisanship into it simply because it's been institutionalized. Is it too much to ask the president for an inquiry?
Well, first and foremost, you see, it's the Ghanaian thing is that when somebody dies, somebody passes away, and you are informed, the first question that comes to mind is, when did the person die? And the second question is, what killed the person? These are two automatic questions that you get anytime there's a death in the family, a death of an associate. We knew when the president died. Virtually everybody knows that he died on Tuesday. We are disputing the times that he died. Some are saying as early as 10 a.m. in the morning. Some are saying he died before he was brought to the hospital. That would be about 1:35 p.m. Some are saying he died officially 2:15 p.m. We are disputing the time. But what killed him is a question that is begging to be answered. And I'm surprised that the people who did most of the whipping, are the most shy about instituting an investigation. I'm speaking about the current president, members of his party. If you've seen, clearly they are not very happy with any thought of investigation. They are dead opposed to an investigation. I'm wondering why. Because I was opposed to the President Mills politically, but I'm interested in finding out what killed him.
Yes.
President Mills, when he was alive, was very interested in finding out what killed the late Yana. He was very interested in finding out what killed Inusa Fuseni's wife. Okay. Now he dies under mysterious circumstances, and the Ghanaian thing to expect is to find out what killed the president. But his family is not interested. His political party friends are not interested. They are saying no to investigation, and it's left to us to speak out for, because John Mills would like to know what killed him. I'm sure if he had a voice, he'd say, "Oh, I'm dead." But at least satisfy yourself that I died properly. He would speak up for himself, but he cannot speak. His brothers and sisters in the NDC are not prepared to speak for him. So it's left to us to speak up for John Mills. What happened to John Mills? Okay, because, like you said, we are now managing another president. He needs the fullest cover, security, medicine, medical, every cover, communication that we can,
and administrative.
Yes, that we can give him to ensure that his life is protected. You know why? That life there protects a brain. And what we voted for was not John Evans Atamos as the person, but the brain that will take the decisions to progress this, to take this nation to another level. That is what we voted for. Okay?
Yes.
So anything that brings that brain that we spend over $50 million into danger, that brain we spend over $50 million to acquire into danger, should be of concern to you. And now many questions have been raised. And some of those questions are not the questions people like myself or my newspaper have raised about how he was transported to the hospital. Some of the questions that have been raised by President Mills' own family. His own family. Let me give you one example. According to the sister, okay, the man complained of neck pains.
Yes.
And they sent a nephew or somebody to go and get him a neck brace. Now that claim by the sister requires investigation. Okay, how come the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, who had at his disposal whole hospitals, hospital complexes at his fingertips, he had under his employment several dozens and dozens of specialists and hundreds of doctors. Okay, his body is a national security issue.
Yes.
His person is a national security issue.
Yes.
How come when he suffers from neck pain, you send somebody to the drugstore to go and buy neck brace?
Instead of calling on a security network and having...
And he is supposed to have at his beck and call 24 hours a day a medical doctor. You speak to the people who handled Rollins and the people who handled Kufuor. The president is having lunch at a restaurant, 2 or 3 tables away. You see a very innocuous gentleman seated there also having lunch. That is the medical doctor. He is there. Anything happens to the president is ready for him. Okay. So they are supposed to be there around the president 24 hours a day. What happened to the medical cover? So that the family can then decide, oh, if you are in neck pain, let's go and get you neck brace. And somebody says in a salon and goes to any drugstore. Because some of these things are sometimes even to be specially fitted to the body. Otherwise, you wear it wrong, you're killing yourself.
Yeah.
So how come the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces was so exposed that his medical condition was left for a civilian to determine and then to conclude that you require neck brace? That
civilian, we are not told, was a doctor or other.
He's a civilian. And he should be having military medical cover. Okay, another relative, Dr. Kadma Mills, tells us a story that the president dies from stroke. Okay, and then he also says that the president, in the midst of the stroke, somehow managed to gather enough energy to raise his hands and say, oh my Lord, I leave it all to you, and then to fall down and die. I have spoken to many medical experts, and they tell me that cannot be possible. Because when you have that, what the condition they call stroke, it breaks down half of your mental, and it affects half of your body. So that if it's on the right side, the left side is where it has been affected. If it's on the right, then the left side is what is affected. Okay, and you are not going to be in a position to speak or lift your arms. So how did that happen? At which point did the president raise his hands, and at which point, okay, did he have the stroke? There's this report about the autopsy where the people are claiming that the autopsy report claims that the man bled from the laryngitis, from the and that choked his air pipes and then he died. Is that the truth, or is the autopsy that is the truth? Okay, the modern manner, because look, you know the executive office in the castle.
Yeah.
You know the place perfectly.
Yeah.
You've worked there before. Yeah. Is it going to be possible to move the president in a condition of distress out of the castle without people seeing?
Certainly not.
And a massive ruckus. Even you attempt to suppress it, even if you do the best to suppress, there'll be a massive outcry at the castle. Okay. And I tell you, journalists in the castle, in spite of the fact that some of them are sworn to secrecy and they know they have to respect the communication director, as soon as something like that happens, we start contacting their media house. Oh yes, this is going. Joy FM would have broken the news way beyond the past two that they broke.
The president is ill and is being sent to the hospital because of the accompanying.
It has to come naturally. You cannot do anything. The commander-in-chief is in distress. You cannot do anything about it. Before the man gets to 37, I would know. Because 37 hospital, I have eyes there. People would call me and tell me that, Ken, this is what.
Inexplicable circumstances, what we are saying is that here's a man who has a neck pain. At that point, is he alone or not? Does he put on his neck brace before his family leaves him? And then he's supposed to have had a stroke. Was his brother with him when he had the stroke?
Many niggling, important questions that all add up to the life of a very important man. There's talk about the CCTV camera in his office, which is supposed to cover him 24 hours a day, going off, or the tape in the camera getting lost.
Over this particular incident or before?
Over this particular period, they can't find the tape. Okay? All manner of allegations and rumors. And sometimes, because I can tell you that when they arrived at 37, I've got witnesses. Arrived at 37 military hospital. They were in a 4x4 vehicle. They parked there for some crucial minutes. They were confused in their demeanor. There were just only two gentlemen with the president in the car. The president was in distress or probably dead at the back of the vehicle, actually kneeling on his feet and bleeding all over the mouth and nose. The president of Ghana. They came in what you call incognito.
They didn't announce.
They didn't announce. They came, they first and foremost reversed into the accident center with the back. Then they got out of the car, went inside and said they wanted a screen, a medical screen, and a stretcher. Okay? And then the houseman there said, what do you need it for? There was a confrontation. Let me go and look at the gentleman in the car. And then he got scared after he saw the gentleman. And then the Lieutenant Colonel, who's a lady, came in. And there's, no, you can't handle this case here. You can't admit this man here. Go to the ICU. Then they get lost and get to the Yas Antoine, which brought in the issue of taking the president to the maternity ward. Because Yas Antoine apparently is a maternity section of the 37. Before they were directed to 37.
To the ICU.
To the ICU. To the ICU. The first gentleman who actually had physical contact with the president was a warrant officer. Okay? And he touched their hands and the feet. They were dead cold. Because if there had been any life in the president, he would have been intubated. Okay? If he was in distress, unable to move, to breathe, if he was in distress, he had a stroke, having difficulties with motor functions, he would have been intubated to make sure oxygen gets to this. Because what is important, as I said, is the brain.
Yes. Yes.
We need to save that brain.
So there wasn't.
And then you speak to the people. You were at the castle. When President Kufuor had his accident, they brought an ambulance, in which the ambulance, people tell me, you can even do an operation in that ambulance. When you were there, okay, full medical cover, everything was done. That is when you started including the ambulance with the presidential convoy.
Yes.
That car was supposed to be there, or something along those lines. Why was the president not taken to Castle Clinic?
So the question then comes, why wasn't there a doctor with the president when they were sending him to 37?
Yes. Or at least a nurse.
A nurse from the castle, in the car with him. And why wasn't a phone call made ahead to the 37 military hospital to facilitate his arrival?
Yes.
So the questions keep coming up.
They keep on coming and coming. And they must be answered. And
let me, before you get to those who think those questions shouldn't be answered, let me take my first break. But clearly, Ghanaians want to ask the questions. Ghanaians are asking the questions. And Ghanaians deserve answers to those questions. Mr. President, the ball is already in your court. Tonight, we are asking His Excellency President John Mahama to show love to his late predecessor, because in Ghana, those who truly love want to go to the bottom of everything to demonstrate what they love and how deep their love is. We have a major situation where his predecessor in office experienced dubious administrative cover, apparent security failure, and virtually non-existent medical cover at key time that he needed it. This was a man who was supposed to be surrounded by people who loved him. And yet, way prior to losing his life, it appears that administratively, there are things that have gone on which appear not to be quite in line with what ought to have happened. And that when he needed it most, security-wise, there was no cover for him. Where was his ADC when he suffered a stroke? Where did he suffer the stroke? In his office, in his bedroom, at home? Who was with him and who carried him to the hospital? How long did it take before the security were up and doing to get him to the hospital? Medically, where was his cover? Many people have talked about the lack of medical cover, but indeed, we now want to look at security and administrative implications, even well before Black Tuesday, July 24th. Was the president's real estate concealed from Ghanaians? Why is the impression being created by the NDC that the president was working up to the last day? Is there something we are not being told? Ken, is there something we are not being told?
Well, thank you, Yao. You see, first and foremost, I think that the NDC, as a political organization, has shown a great deal of disrespect to the intellect of the ordinary Ghanaian. A great deal of disrespect and, excuse me to say, unkindness to all of us. In that the ordinary Ghanaian is perfectly capable of making decisions for themselves. If you listen to Jerry John Rawlings, founder Jerry John Rawlings, ex-president, he said that he knew before election 2008 that President Mills had cancer, cancer of the throat. Gabi Ochedakun did a publication around 2005 that way, asserting this fact, which was now journalistically, he was right. People jumped on his neck, people led by the same Chairman Rawlings and people like Atu Ahoy and people like Atamos and Co. They jumped on Gabi and demanded an apology and demanded until they got the apology. But Gabi was right. We were deliberately lied to and misled about the actual health condition of President Mills. So even in my opinion, some of my colleagues disagree, but in my opinion, the first thing we should be doing is challenging the NDC to apologize to Ghanaians based on what President Rawlings said, that you people lied to the people of this country about the actual health status of Mills. We should confront the NDC first. They should tell us the level of their knowledge. People like Rawlings, Atuahoi and Co., when they were denying that Atamos had cancer and that he had only sinus, they knew they were lying. Atamos knew he was lying. So they should come and tell us. They should. I'll go for it. They should come and proceed to us on that level. But when they came into government, and then people were listening to the sound of President Mills and looking at pictures of President Mills and expressing worry that is the president all right? Is the president all right? They kept on denying and denying. He himself led and they all followed, or they followed and he led. And he did led and he followed that the president was all right. Was he all right? Then too, the government of the national need to come to the people of this country. And I'm sure that is why they are resisting an open-ended investigation, which will have to look at all these travels that has been going on. The last time he was in the US, which hospital did he visit? Who were the doctors? What was the level of consultation? Because they denied he was undergoing treatment. So who did he consult? What did he consult about? What was the what were the conclusions drawn? They need to come clean with the people of this country about all those matters. I think that there has been a policy by President Mills and leading figures in his administration like Vice President John Mahama then, and all of them to deliberately, consciously lie. Why?
Can we be said he was responsible for all the things that happened then?
No, I'm not saying that he's responsible alone.
No. What I'm saying is that if they were concealing the president's health from us, under the Constitution, Article 69, the medical provision in the Constitution is that where the president is impacted by illness to the extent that he cannot perform his duties, then he must be examined to step down. The question at this stage is whether or not in a certain period up to Black Tuesday, he had the capacity to execute his duties. If he did, then probably...
We are told by the likes of General Numensa that the man himself expressed the willingness to leave the job. But they decided to read the book of Job to him. Okay.
So why did he want to leave?
And there is a very beautiful letter that was published in the Ghanaian Daily Graphic of Saturday, and fortunately reproduced the Crusading Guide of today, about a certain posthumous claims made by the president before he died, that he was now in heaven. I think you have seen a copy of that letter. Yes, you have seen a copy of that.
If the well-being message or something.
Farewell message or something. If the president actually wrote that letter, as the NDC is seeking for us to believe that the president wrote that letter, because I believe that letter is a forgery. But if the president actually wrote that letter, then he knew that he was sick or he was dead. You see, the letter says that he's dead.
He's in heaven.
He's in heaven, but he still managed to sign something on
his
earth.
own signature and his name.
And his name on earth. Okay. But if he was dead as he was claiming that he was dead, then he knew that he was dead. Which means that he should have handed power over to somebody who was not dead. If he was actually so sick that he realized that he was going to die, he should still have handed over power.
Yes.
Because an intelligent person like Professor Mills, knowing that I'm going away, I will not be back, would do an intelligent handing over. That is what they are telling us. That the president was honest, he was intuitive, he was visionary, he was good, he was what. So in that all that level of goodness, he would have realized that if I'm going, the fair, proper thing is to do a clean handing over. He will not just keep on working and fall down and die. Am I wrong? Okay. So once again, what we have been told does not gel.
No.
Okay, it doesn't gel at all. The president lied to Ghanaians about his true state of health. When he came to Kotoka and jogged, I think he was withholding information from the people of this country. Yeah. And his associates who traveled with him knew that they were withholding information. Yeah. We must now question them. Yeah. When you went to the United States, what happened there? And the level of cruelty and callousness that I have seen in this country, sometimes it makes me sad that I'm involved in this game of politics. People like Kwesi Pratt, when Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo wrote a get well statement to his brother and friend and teammate, John Evans Atta Mills, that God be with you, go safely and come back safely. The likes of Felix Ofosu Kwachi Ofosu, and Kwesi Pratt Jr., they jumped on Anado. They cemented the man, cut him to pieces for making the mistake of using the word treatment. Today, I see Kwesi all over the place, still smiling. But Mills is dead.
Well,
if he had admitted that Mills was truly sick and that Mills needs to take a few days off and rest, Mills will be alive. But Kwesi is walking around smiling and eating his chicken, and Mills is dead. And you know something? After they finished drinking the blood of Mills, and now he's dead and resting at the Asumdue Park, they moved on to John Mahama. They are telling us today that all the attributes of Mills can be found in John Mahama. So very conveniently, forget about...
They've already moved on.
They moved on. Mills is resting. They moved on to the next victim.
They are the same people who said Mills was an angel and those around him were bad.
Yes.
And now they've moved on to those around him. They have all of a sudden become good.
And they moved on. See the level of callousness.
As far back as December 26th of last year, when His Excellency the President came to Ghana at the height of the Judgment Day breakout, and went back to New York, ostensibly to go and meet businessmen on 26th December.
When they are eating their turkey.
On 26th December. Yes. So this thing can we really say that the president, at that point in time and onwards, was responsible for everything that was happening in government? For all the commitments. Is that why his cabinet was disobeying him? Was he able to manage the government?
What I know is that he has lawful responsibility for everything that happened. But at that level, you hardly take decisions alone. That is where kindness and fellow feeling will come in.
But the question is, were decisions being taken for him by that stage?
That is where I'm coming.
Because if decisions were being taken for him at that stage, the implications for this country.
Because someone who can sign letters from heaven. Okay, you remember Koku and Idowu said that people sometimes take decisions and it is put in the name of the president. Remember when he fired people by radio in Kumasi?
Yes.
After the electricity,
yes.
African cap something. Yes. Decisions can be taken and can be put under the name of the president. Because you see certain things at this stage, you know, I'm a human being. The president was my president. But at this stage, when a president who is singing hymns at noon on a Tuesday,
there were problems.
There were problems.
There were genuine problems.
A president who wanted to resign, and when you read the book of Job to him, he calms down. You see, this is testimony from people who know him. His sister knew him very well. Nunu Mensah worked with him. When he wants to resign, you read the book of Job to him, and he wipes his tears. According to Alote Jacobs, and again Neil Van der Poy, okay, the president, when you criticize him, can go and hide somewhere and start weeping. Oh, what is Ken Crunchy doing? Oh, what is Jerry John Rawlings doing? Clearly, these testimonies coming from the people who knew him so well, because I doubt that anybody in full capacity of certain capacities that a human being would have would weep when he's criticized.
We have serious questions, and we don't believe Ghanaians deserve a government's flat refusal not to have those questions answered. What really happened behind the scenes during the funeral? Were certain high officials of the party turned away from a certain funeral venue because certain personalities believed they had acted badly and that they were responsible and part of the processes leading to the president's ill-timed death? Was it a convenient death? Don't forget, there are primaries, there are nominations ahead in September. Having propped the president up to the point where one finds that probably September could be a difficult situation, what then do you do? Who in the NDC stood to benefit in the event something didn't go quite right with His Excellency the President? If these questions are not answered, Ghanaians will continue to ask them because we deserve to know. He was our president and everything he did belonged to all of us. As Ken says, he was a brain worth all the dollars we invested in the election. That's the whole point, that brain comes to serve us. Was somebody manipulating that brain because of certain ill capacity? And why are we not being told the truth? Who is hiding what? What is there to hide? These are very solemn times, and we just want to focus on the objective facts of the matter. Hello, Osman. Osman.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, this I want to contribute to your program. About it's time Ghanaians to let NDC know lies. You can throw the lie up to a mock to Kilimanjaro, but when the truth comes, appear there, the lies will vanish. Because if the help of the president was an issue, which NDC was hiding it? When Nana Akufo-Addo talk about it, wishing him well, to go and treat himself and come back. Hey, it was all over the country. Ulaba, we don't know even who. Kuchi Pride, Felix Kwaki, this small kid was a sort of Nana Akufo-Addo. And finally, it happened. We were told today that it was stroke by the brother, that there's a misfall, the stroke. And by the time he was raised hand to pray to the Almighty God. You imagine a stroke will do somebody, and the person is able to raise hand, pray. this kind of lies is time for us to just go that way. Let us do the real thing. What the Ghana medical says, what they are demanding, that's the best thing to go with it. So this is for this from
Thank you. Thank you very much. Latif.
Yes, sir. My road model.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
And my lovely brother came crunchy. Latif from Bulgas. Atlantic to be. But the list you talk about NDC is a better. Let me tell you, can you remember something? When the national chairman on behalf of the party was giving a tribute on behalf of the NDC, did they listen to it? That goes to confirm on what Ken Kurachi is telling us this evening. That the man died in the morning. I'm quoting from the national chairman. That the president died in the morning, and not 2:15 that the chief of staff came out and told the whole nation. So it means I have to confirm with what Ken Kurachi say. So look, when you come out and you condemn and do propaganda from the man who was in our life up to his death, and you keep on doing propaganda, so to you, it is up to you. Daniels will also charge you. Daniels can remember the day that they said this man died, there was a letter to Parliament indicating that the man was living to Nigeria. Meanwhile, the man was suffering at the castle. So now what you say?
We've lost Latif, but that was very significant because in the tribute, Comrade J says he died in the morning. So between then and 2:15. Fuseni.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much. I just want them to clear the doubts, the brother Kadman Mills came out and then muddied the waters with a very big lie that the man died of a massive stroke. Meanwhile, in another break, we were told that the man fell in the castle and then, I think, bleeding from the nose profusely. And even at that time, they were sending him to Nigeria. They got to the airport and matters got worse, so they decided to rush back to 37 Military Hospital. And from Daily Guide, when I read on the net, they said the man died 2 hours earlier before they even got to the hospital. So we are just wondering what is happening. So we want them to come out and clear the air for us.
In life, the NDC does propaganda. In death, they are still continuing the propaganda.
You do propaganda to the point of death and you are still doing it.
Propaganda.
Yes.
You are lying to us, and these are functionaries from within the NDC.
You lie to the point of when you kill a man and you are still lying.
Because
if he had admitted the truth, the man would have been able to rest. But we lied his well, we lied and lied and lied his well, and he kept on working and lied his well to the point of death.
And now that he's dead, you are lying about how he died and the way forward.
Yes.
Is it fair to Ghana?
It's not fair to themselves as human beings.
So who is going to bring them to order?
You remember, he said we are desperate for power. We are desperate for power.
Yes.
You are so desperate for power that you have cancer, you are still standing on the platform and campaigning.
Well, just to remind all of us, when His Excellency John Mahama visited Cape Coast and met the family, this is what he said. He said he was the luckiest vice president in the world to have had a president like Professor Mills. He gave him the space to operate and every responsibility. He made him the chairman of the Police Council, the chairman of the Armed Forces Council, and the chairman of the Economic Management Team. Everything. And according to him, the president told him, His Excellency John Mahama, that I trust you can do it. He reposed, the late president reposed absolute trust in His Excellency John Mahama. So now, the questions are outstanding about the Economic Management Team, about the corrupt deals that have gone on, about the judgment debts, the funny things that have gone on, about monies that have been paid. His Excellency, the Vice President, has come to confirm that as for him, if you have a check, he will pay you money. Nobody from Yoko or the castle or anywhere stopped him from paying money. So we are revisiting the 41.8 million that they said they hadn't paid, whether it was paid or not. So now, Mr. President, the problems are the same. The same problems you helped to create as chairman of the Economic Management Team are still there. And now You have the biggest challenge to be credible, show love, and tell the whole world that you are prepared to be transparent and reveal the circumstances surrounding Black Tuesday, if only to let your mentor have peaceful rest. Ken, 30 seconds.
Well, 30 seconds. You see, Anita D'Souza, the National Women's Organizer of the National Democratic Congress, was on a platform with me and said that it was opportune and God sent that President Mills died at the time that he died. Opportune and God sent that he died at the time that he died. That if President Mills had lived and God had not taken him away, and nominations had been filed and closed, and we were going to the election, and then he had died, the NDC would have been up a stream without a paddle. Now, to close, I'm finishing very swiftly. Assuming this thought that had occurred to Anita D'Souza had occurred to somebody much earlier, and the person was in the position to do something about it.
So who stood to benefit? Your Excellency, Mr. President, Ghanaians are interested. We want to find out. It's been Minority Caucus. We are asking you to show love to your mentor and investigate the circumstances of his death. Set up an inquiry or authorize a coroner to investigate.